In today's episode, we're going to be exploring mental health and addiction support provided from a cultural lens. We're going to get into what that actually means in a second, but first I'd like to introduce our two awesome guests for today. First up, we have Lydia Gafoi, a community support worker from Pacific service provider Penina Trust, which facilitates safe housing, addiction, community services and mental health support for the people of South Auckland. Lydia has been working in this space for the last couple of years, supporting young people through their school-based program, Kia ora ake. Talofa, Lydia, and welcome to The Difference.
Kia ora, Alexia. Thank you for bringing me onto this awesome project. Good to be here.
Our second guest is Janifa Bhamji, Pauarahi Uropuawhina Service Manager for Kāhui Tū Kaha, an organisation that says on its website is by Māori for all. Janifa has worked her way from community support work to a leadership position and is a valuable member of the Support Work Advisory Group, which advises and co-designs workforce development opportunities for the support workforce alongside Te Pou. Kia ora, Janifa. Nau mai haere mai e hoa.
Kia ora, Alexia. Thank you for having me on the podcast today.
So let's just get to know you both a little bit better. Janifa, do you want to introduce yourself for the podcast?
Ai. Ko taupiri te maunga, ko wakata te awa, ko Ngāti Haua me wakata tainui te iwi, ko Ngāti Haua me Ngāti Naho te hapu, ko Tauariki me Heruene toku whānau, ko Janifa Bhamji toku ingoa. I am Māori Fiji Indian. My father is from the beautiful Fiji Islands, a town called Ba in Fiji. And my mother's side, she's from the Waikato region, Huntly, and Waikato Tainui, and Ngāti Haua is her iwi.
Awesome. And Lydia, do you want to, could you introduce yourself a little bit, please?
Sure. Whai lava moli ava noa, o loo ingoa o Lydia Imakulata Gafoi, o loo tina e sau mai lalawhanga ia o Samatau ma loto whanga, o loo tamai sau mai lalawhanga ia o Lalomanu, Vau i Savai'i, Tuanai ma Lalovaya. Kia ora, talofa lava. My name is Lydia Gafoi, born and bred in beautiful South Auckland. My parents come from Samoa and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Beautiful introductions for both of you. Thank you. Are you both able to tell us a little bit more about the organisations that you work for? Lydia, we'll start with you.
Cool. Thank you for the opportunity. So I work for Penina Trust. Penina was founded in 2001, so we've been in the community for some time now. The literal translation for Penina from the Samoan language means pearl. So we look at our people as our pearls. So that's how the saying goes. For Penina Trust, we offer numerous supports that help our tāngata whaiora with those that are in the secondary mental health support services, as well as those within the primary mental health support services. Recently, we've also been able to support families with social and transitional housing.
And Janifa, can you tell us a little bit about Kāhui Tū Kaha?
Yep, so Kāhui Tū Kaha is a iwi organisation. We are under the runanga of Ngāti Whātua. So the uniqueness, which you mentioned before, it's by Māori for all. And when we talk about for all, we're talking about tailored services for Māori, Pacifica, Asian, Muslim, Rainbow, and so on. So that's weaved together by the core values of the organisation. That's whakawhanaungatanga, rangatiratanga, and manakitanga. So it's an obligation for all of us to serve the community of Tamaki Makaurau.
Beautiful. So let's just explore what we might be trying to achieve in this podcast episode. Because we're not talking about cultural support, which is something else entirely, right? What does it mean to each of you to provide mental health and addiction services from a cultural lens?
Cultural lens, it's about meeting the person where they're at, being attentive to their needs, being present in that moment of hearing their story, having some awareness of when you're approaching that person or their whānau, and just acknowledging who they are, really. That's a cultural lens.
Yeah, awesome answer. And how do you think that differs from cultural support?
So cultural support is, I would say, cultural safety. It's a connection. It's being from the same. It's an identity. It's a belonging. So they are two separate things. Cultural support means knowing, and cultural lens is coming in as knowing something, coming in with a wider view of finding out a little bit more, being attentive to their needs.
What do you think, Lydia? What do you think mental health addiction services provided from a cultural lens means as opposed to cultural support?
Well, at Penina Trust, kind of differs from the stance that Kāhui Tū Kaha takes. We always say for Pacific by Pacific, and the reason behind that is because we firmly believe that there's no one else that could support the Pacifica people more than their own people. So therefore, for Pacific by Pacific comes through. Yeah, so when support comes from people who understand your culture, your values, and your lived experiences, it does build trust within the whānau. There's a saying in Samoan culture that says, "E lori Samoa lana tū, sa vali malana tautala," which means and translates to, you know a Samoan with the way they talk, the way they walk, and the way their stance is. So the whole cultural lens relates to cultural awareness. You have to be aware of this. When you're going to someone's house, you have to know the way that you walk and you talk. Same thing if I were to go to Janifa's house, I would not take my cultural views and go and push that onto Janifa. I would be aware of her cultural beliefs, her religious beliefs, and I would take that into account when visiting families. And I think that goes for all. We don't just take what we believe in and we go and force that upon others. We have to be mindful and aware that everybody is different. Everybody has different cultural values and religious beliefs, and to be very much respectful of that in the way that they view those things. Yeah.
Is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, it's just allowing that safe space, that non-judgmental approach. Just allowing them, like how I mentioned, allowing them to be them. It's their journey, not yours. So let them be and recognise what kind of supports you need to adapt or adjust and be flexible with to help them flourish in their journey.
Because, the Pacific, for example, Lydia, is not a homogenous place, right? You've got a load of different cultures there. And Janifa, you've got Asian communities, refugee communities. You can't have somebody from each of those communities working for you. I'd be very surprised if you were able to. So you can't always have a deep understanding as a support worker of the cultural nuances when you are meeting a new tāngata whaiora or their whānau. So how do you navigate that?
So, when you're someone that's not from the same culture and you're going to be supporting someone that's different to your culture, it comes down to the core values of compassion, kindness, and that goes really far, because when you approach that person with humility and kindness, they accept it because you're kind to who they are presenting in front of you. You see them for who they are, and it goes a long way. It's humanity. If you can carry those values into any workplace or working with diverse cultures, it makes it easier in the process. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think just to elaborate more on what Janifa was saying, I think that's where the beauty of networking comes into play. You know, we have Penina Trust and we have Kāhui Tū Kaha. We're not going to know everything. As same with Kāhui Tū Kaha. That's the beauty of our working spaces. We always, you know, collaborate with each other and co-facilitate different things. I think that's when us as organizations need to utilize each other, bounce off each other. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, you nailed it right there. It's coming together, and doing what's best for the community. And if it's something that we can't provide because we don't have that understanding of, then there's communities like Penina, like, you know, other agencies there too, cultural agencies that we can tap into and get the support. But also not forgetting the communities within. You know, we've got our mosques, got our churches, places like that, scholars, religious scholars that we can also tap into for support and advice. So, yeah,
something you said before really resonated with me. Like, I am Pākehā, but I'm also a member of the LGBT community. And so for me, you know, we were making a resource recently for support workers around how to work better with people from our rainbow community. And the message that we were really hearing from support workers was that a lot of people were kind of a bit intimidated or a bit scared because they didn't understand all of the acronyms or the different sexualities and genders and things. And so they were just kind of like, I'm scared to get it wrong. And so we just made a resource that basically said, look, you don't have to understand everything, but you do need to treat people with respect. And I think that resonates with what you were saying before. You can't necessarily know everything, and that's okay, but you treat people with respect. And you, I think also, and we talked about this in the prep session for this, it's about not asking that person who is under stress to educate you. So you've got a responsibility coming into that space to do some education for yourself first, because they're not in a place to be trying to teach you the right way to do things. But if you come with love in your heart and respect, then, you know, you're doing what you should be.
That's right.
Can I ask you both what led you to this mahi? Lydia, I'll go ask you first.
Well, I've seen the gaps firsthand. I've witnessed a lot of close friends that weren't able to get the right support. And I think the main thing with that was they just didn't know where to go. Fortunately for me, I come from... my dad is a social worker, so I always knew the kind of work that he did for our community that he serves in South Auckland, and I think for me, I just saw the impact that he had on the community, especially our church community. A lot of people knew Dad was a social worker and would always go to him and ask him for support and help. Even just walking through Southmore, Manurewa, a lot of just random people would just say hi to Dad, and I'm just like, who's that guy? Oh, it's just someone I supported. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Anyway, that happened for a very long time, and one day I just went home after my previous job. I was a customer service representative for a furniture store. Dad looked at me and he was like, do you think you would like working in like a community-based job? And I go, what do you mean, like a job like yours? And he goes, yeah. And then I just sat on it. I pondered for some time and I thought, why not? So then, fortunately, there was an opening for Penina Trust and I applied for it. Thankfully, I was successful. And just seeing the impacts that I've made on other families and my team have made on whānau as well, it's so rewarding being able to go home and think back on it like I actually helped that family whether it's something big like supporting them in getting a long-term accommodation, or just the smallest things of being able to gift them with a food parcel to help them have food with their family at night. It's honestly just the small things that matter. And all in all, what motivated me to be in this position, this career pathway, was just seeing the kind of impacts that other people made on the people within my community. And I thought, I want to do that. And so yeah, here I am 2 years in, and no regrets so far. So I'm really enjoying it. Yeah.
Awesome. And Janifa, what led you to do this work?
I would say it would be personal experience. When I needed support, I had a difficult time trying to access the supports that I would say understood me. And I've always been a support worker, helping others out, like, Lydia said, always being there for others. And when I needed help, I noticed that I just went into this advocating mode, did my research, reached out, and I carried that weight by myself for a long time. But eventually I was able to get what I needed. And after realizing that, I knew, okay, this is an area that I need to go into because there's a need. There's a need. There's a need of having appropriate services that support people from the Muslim community. So my very first job was with Kāhui Tū Kaha as a support worker. And I come from a very different background. I come from finance and auditing real estate. So it was...
big change for you.
Big change. Experience, living that experience, and then going into support work. And it's been 8 years now with Kāhui Tū Kaha. And, that's what motivates me to stay. It's, the organisation themselves, acknowledging the different cultures that are there, allowing that space for all these cultures, empowering us that we're here to support you and your community needs you. But also the whānau themselves, the tāngata whaiora that we support, their resilience. Seeing them push through those barriers, and I'm just there walking alongside them. That's what motivates me to come back and help another family push through those barriers.
Yeah, because we didn't talk about it before, but, you are in the Muslim team at Kāhui Tū Kaha and also working in forensics with rangatahi.
Right.
So you've got quite a diverse role there.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. I can't stop. The community needs me, but I also have obligations. And I am privileged to be in this space with forensics and with rangatahi. It's a kaupapa Māori space, but I also have that obligation to the Muslim community. And if I can balance it and I can make it work, then I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Awesome. What are the best parts of your job, Lydia?
I think for me personally, the best parts of the job would be just seeing the moment when the individual or the whānau starts to regain hope and confidence that, the journey that they're on, it's going somewhere, it's not stopping, whether that be through our support or support from their own internal communities. I think it's just that glimmer of hope that they get, like, okay, it doesn't stop here. It actually does go further. It does progress. So, yeah, that's for me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Janifa?
I would say the best part of my job is I get paid. I get paid.
Forgot that one.
To have a rewarding job. Like how I said, I came from a background in auditing, real estate servicing.
Which I'm imagining paid much better.
It did.
Yeah.
It did. And it was back in the States too.
So it paid real well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, I worked in the States. So, but, and this work, it's can't explain it any better than rewarding. Like, day in, day out, you got a opportunity every day to go into these tāngata's lives. Not only them, the individual, but, the whānau. And you're changing their life. And it's like that saying that you change one person, you change the whole community. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's the best part, is working with that individual, and then, they're now going on, but you can see them from the far. You can, you hear about them, or you read about them, or, something gets shared, and it's like, wow, it's impactful. Mm. So, yeah.
It's quite obvious that you both love your mahi. It comes through in the way you talk about it. Mm. It's not all great and easy though, is it? What do you think are the hardest parts of the job? Because let's be realistic here. There are hard parts.
The hardest part would be trying not to take the work home with you. Mm. Other previous jobs, you do the work at the office or the shop or whatever, you leave it there. Once you clock out, you go home. When you're dealing with families that are going through things, sometimes you're carrying the emotional weight of what they're going through. Mm. So the hardest part is, trying not to take it home with you. And I think that comes with, you're taking care of others, but you also have to take care of yourself as well. I'm very blessed in the sense where my workplace is very, very far from home. So I have a really long drive home. So I use that time just to regulate, reset, and then start over the next day. Just try not to take it home. Just leave it at the office, come back the next day and try again.
Because it's a heavy load to carry, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we don't always, in support work, look after ourselves very well.
Yeah.
Clinicians are often funded to access supervision, reflective practice, and it's not always something that organisations are able to fund support workforce to access. And you're with people day in, day out, and you really care about the people that you work with. Yeah. So it's just about, I guess, self-care, understanding how it's, the stories that you're hearing every day impacting on your own well-being, and then the worry that you have. You can't just turn it off at 5 o'clock, hey?
Unfortunately not.
What about you, Janifa? What's some of the hardest parts of your mahi?
Yeah, I would actually say that would be the hardest one too for me, because when you see that they're struggling and they're in pain, their hardships, their grief, their trauma, and you are there only momentarily, and you then return back to your site, carry on with your mahi. Like how Lydia said, it can be hard because it can have an impact on you thinking, how is this whānau going to be when I return back to the office? How are they going to have power, food, just essentials that we take for granted. So I would say that would be the hard part of accepting to process that and accepting to be able to talk with someone. Because quite often as a support worker, you think, no, that's my job. That's my job. I gotta be strong because this is what I'm employed to do. But you have to accept that, no, I got to process those emotions and I've got to talk to someone, whether that's a colleague or your manager or someone else. It needs to be spoken because you can't take that home. It's got to be left there. So, yeah, I would say for me that was a hard part, but I've learnt along the way.
Cool. Do either of you have any advice for anyone thinking about entering the workforce of support, and especially for people who maybe are from a certain community and wanting to give back to their community by, as we said before, providing mental health and addiction services from a particular cultural lens?
I would say jump on board if you have a passion for helping people. If you're open-minded, you love to serve, you love to give, but you also love to take care of yourself,
What has it given you to be able to work with your own communities? What does that mean to you?
Oh, it's just given me a purpose. Like, for example, for me, I work within schools, so I work with tamariki from the ages of 5 to 13. Whenever I'm looking at a young girl, that's me I'm looking at. That's my little sister I'm looking at. Being able to help, weave in some extra knowledge for these tamariki, right? So I always say to myself, like, we're always part of, we're part of these children's childhood. It may not mean much to us now, but if we reflect back on how we were as children, I can still think of a few names and faces of those that helped me growing up. So I'd like to think that I'm kind of playing that same role in these young children's lives as well. But yeah, for those who are wanting to looking into this career path, like, why not? If you love talking, if you love, having kōrero with people, just jump on board. If there's one advice I would give to those wanting to jump on board, I would say be open-minded and being open to learning new things. Like I've already spoken with Janifa and Alexia, and I've told them that I've only been in this career path for 2 years. Some people have been in the industry for 10 years and they're still learning more. There's no one that knows everything. So if you're wanting to jump on board, be open-minded and just know that you're going to learn something every single day. Mm-hmm. And be happy to learn. Stay in school.
Yep. Stay in school. What about you, Janifa? What kind of advice would you give to somebody who's considering entering the support workforce to work with their own communities?
When you work for someone within your own community, it's a strength because it's coming from a place of knowing. That person that you're supporting, they identify or see someone that's similar to them. So with that person that you're supporting, when they see you, they see someone that identifies with who they are. For example, someone from the Muslim community, it becomes an instant connection. It becomes a sense of belonging. And then it allows for them to, okay, drop their shoulders. I don't have to over-explain myself. You are going to get what I'm about to share with you from a spiritual point of view. So it's just like Te Whare Tapawha, a health model in New Zealand. And we know that each of those taha are essential for, your well-being, to thrive in your well-being. So it's important to acknowledge each one of those taha. And it's about ensuring people thrive by upholding their mana. And that's their identity, and that's their spirituality. And if we uphold their mana, then that's their dignity. We're now going to transform into shifting those spaces with them. And allow them to have holistic aspirations to thrive again.
I think at the moment, a lot of us feel like moves towards health equity are sliding backwards. And I'm not going to get political on this podcast, but I think it's really important to acknowledge and we have diverse communities in Aotearoa. And yes, any door should be the right door. If somebody goes for support, then that should be a welcoming and inclusive space. But why do you think it's important we have these services that do offer that particular cultural awareness and understanding available to people as an option for them to be able to choose? Why do you think that's so important that we keep those things?
Yeah, I think services like Penina Trust, Kāhui Tū Kaha are needed because sometimes mainstream services don't always align with our core values as individuals. Our communities do deserve supports that align with their own personal values. Like I said earlier in the podcast, Penina Trust, we always say for Pacific by Pacific. And I'm going to reiterate what I mentioned earlier, whereas there's no one more fitting to support the Pasifika people than the Pasifika people themselves, because we all know Pasifika people, we have our hierarchies within every culture. It's not appropriate for myself personally to go and visit an elderly Samoan man because there are Matai protocols in place. The language I speak is not the language he would speak. So there's a saying in Samoan culture where ele whea ngai vini matapanga, meaning I am not worthy to be in the presence of somebody of the status,
Can you explain that a little bit more for me? Because, I'm Pākehā or Pālangi, and so I don't understand those hierarchies. And, my gut reaction, I'm not saying it is, but my gut reaction and some of the listeners' gut reaction will be, what do you mean you're not worthy? Can you explain that? And I'm not asking you to be a cultural expert here, but acknowledging that as a culturally informed and aware support worker, when you're going into somebody's family space, that's so important that you get to understand those things instinctually, But how can you explain that for somebody like me?
Thank you. I think the most important thing to take away from that is just knowing your place, knowing when to speak and when not to speak. So in a situation where I would go to an elderly couple to support them, I wouldn't just go alone. I would go with somebody older than me because they're on the same wavelength. It's very much what Janifa was speaking about earlier, they see themselves and the people that are coming to support them. I think overall, to answer your question, I think that people just thrive when they're supported by people that understand them as an individual.
Do either of you have any advice for people thinking about entering support work?
Every now and then I have a kaumātua or matua at work that shares this quite often, and it is listen with your eyes and see with your ears. And over time we'll be like, what does that mean? What does that mean? And, a lot of us get it. It means using all your senses to be present, bringing your authentic self into that moment, and seek to listen and seek to hear. And that would be my advice, because just be present in that moment, because you may either connect or may not connect. And if you don't connect, that's okay. It's okay. And if you connect, then you're on to the next stage. And, relationships are more important than ticking off a task. So that would be my advice, intentional.
Beautiful, thank you. What about you, Lydia? Any advice you'd give to people considering this work?
That was very nicely put, Janifa. I think just going off what Janifa said, my advice would also be listen to understand, don't listen to reply, in the sense where, it's, like she said, it's good to listen. It's actually an attribute that's probably very essential within our workforce. And move with purpose. Don't move just because everybody else is moving. Move at your own pace. That also goes with the families that you're working with. Move at their pace. Don't move at yours. Everybody's story is different. Let them take their time in telling their story, and hopefully there's a happy ending to it. Yeah.
I think that's, one of the beautiful things about, for example, working from a kaupapa Māori framework, that the Western models can learn a lot from, is just you can never spend too much time building that relationship and that trust in the beginning. And I think sometimes we rush that step, like you say, and we're task-focused, and then the success or not of the work that you do with family will depend on how strong that relationship is and how much they feel they can trust you and let you in. What do support workers in roles like yours need to be really good at?
Good at talking, good at listening, good at working with different people in different environments. Different circumstances come with different changes. So being able to adapt easily to different, like I said, different situations. Yeah.
I would say do some homework, do some research, know the community that you're going out to support. I think that's something that you need to be active on. Is always do a bit of rangahau before you go and meet with the family, and continue to do that each time too, because it's all about learning. You can never learn enough. And when you're with the whānau or the individual, you're still learning. I mean, I've learnt a lot from them. And I apply a lot of my learning, and for some, I know where to not apply it. But yeah, it's just keep growing in that space, because, mean, that saying that goes, knowledge is key. And that key is whānau.
Support work has a level 4 qualification and then nothing. There's no career pathway for support workers other than to retrain into a clinical role or into management like you yourself have done, Janifa. And we touched on this in season 1 around career pathways for support work. And I think that that's something that probably puts people off joining support work is the limits in terms of having a pathway to follow, especially for people who are ambitious and want to do better and thrive. But learning never stops, does it? And so, you know, I think that's really beautiful, having that learning mindset within your role. And, you know, we don't want to lose our very best support workers. We want to hang on to them because oftentimes people who are really, really good at their job do get promoted outside of their skill set because there's only one way for them to go. And then we're poorer because we don't have them anymore as support workers. I just really wish that we could do something to change that, to really create a pathway for people who are really, really good at this work to be more valued, paid better, and become senior positions where they are still able to be support workers and use those skills. I don't think it's just a pipe dream. I think that, you know, we will figure that out. But, you know, the more learning opportunities that we can create for people along the way is great. Do you have any stories that you want to share about the impact of the work that you've seen?
So we got a referral from a GP to support a mum who had seen her GP and had agreed without knowing she agreed, because sometimes GPs are regarded as a higher status for some cultures. So she kept saying yes, 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 and then the referral got made. So we received the referral, and it was to support her. And she always wanted to do it around the time of when her daughter was home from school, and her daughter needed to be around at that time. So it was her choice, her rangatiratanga. We did provide, some psychoeducation around. Sometimes it's best for us to do the supports on your own, but it was her choice, and we respected that. Her goal was to work on her isolation. That was important for her. But we felt like it would be difficult because we now have her daughter around. So she said, no, I want to bring my daughter with me. But let's just go out to the park, So we did that. But we needed to work around how do we allow her to open up, because we're not able to get a clearer understanding around her needs. It's just, to us, it looked like she needs community support. She's isolated, that's it. But we had no knowledge around her depression or her move. That wasn't shared yet. So daughter shared that she's been struggling with school, and we said, okay, maybe we can look at you having a support worker. So a referral was made for her internally. She got a support worker for the daughter and for mum. So with that, we were able to work with mum individually. And then that's the relationship building over time. She saw that we're going out of our way to accommodate her and her whānau. That opened a door where she shared with us that, she hasn't been the same since she left home. She has no family here in New Zealand. She has no community. She's experienced Islamophobia, experienced racism. So we got, over time we built up this te whare tapawhā of her identity. And worked with her at her pace, patiently, to a point where we connected her with the community. And she now leads a workshop for women who are disconnected from their communities back home. But one thing that still sticks with me today and why I shared this story is her husband had no idea about her depression.
Oh, wow.
Hence why she always kept her daughter with her and told her husband that the support work was for her daughter. And the husband's words were, "I have never seen you like this since we left our home country. There's a positive change in you, and I've got my wife back." Yeah, so, yeah. You don't have to do a lot or know a lot, but it's about being flexible to adjust and see what's important for the whānau coming from a cultural lens. That's the difference there, having that flexibility. Yeah.
That's a gorgeous story. Thanks, Janifa. So I just want to thank you both for coming on The Difference. It's been really lovely having you both in the studio and having some beautiful kōrero with you both. I love the mahi that you do, and I hope you do too, and you feel proud being able to share a little bit about it with the rest of the workforce, the rest of the community. So yeah, thank you both for sharing a bit about what you do, about your lives with the rest of us. It's been a real privilege to listen to it.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for listening to The Difference. We'd love to hear what you think about the podcast and where it is reaching. If you've got a few minutes, please do leave us a comment in the comments section. Tell us what role you're in and which bits of the podcast you've found useful. It'll help us to know if we're pitching things right or picking topics that resonate with the sector. Kia ora.